Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Weekly Win. My name is Tim. I'm joined by my co-host, Ken.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
And today, we want to talk about polls. We've been using polls a lot, and you hear it from the right, you hear it from the left. Oh, polls are useless. Polls are useless. Well, let's talk about that. Are they useless? Ken, your thoughts?
Polls, man, what are they good for? Well,
Absolutely something.
yeah, absolutely something, but we'll get there in time. A single poll on its own, I kind of view it as really untrustworthy. Anybody can say, "Oh, hey, I just polled 1,000 people who, they say they're likely to vote," which could mean anything, depending on who's doing the polling. And they all said, 100% overwhelmingly that Donald Trump is the greatest ever. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Republican steamrolls. And it's like, dude, what? So, like, and that's obviously an extreme hyperbolized example. But you understand, kind of where I'm going. You can skew polls depending on how you ask people questions and
We asked
what you
100 Fox
specifically
News
ask them.
viewers their thoughts on January 6th, and this is what they
Yes.
said.
Yes. Yep. How you word it and what you ask specifically. Though that alters your questions. Uh, so just taking single polls at face value, I think, is a very bad idea. But taking the aggregation or the average of several polls together, I think that gives you a much better idea of what's going on and what's going to happen in the future. And that's kind of how I base my predictions. It's not on any one poll. It's that I see, 3, 4, 5, 7 polls that are now trending in a certain direction. So I go ahead and readjust my numbers, and however it works out is how it works out.
Another thing to consider is who's being polled. Any reputable poll, so CBS, PolitiFact, Politico, whoever, right? Whoever's polling, usually at the end, they'll say, like, oh, the breakdown of, like, men and women, Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever. When you look at that, you can really get a good idea of who they're polling, and then you can adjust the skew accordingly. So if you see that they're interviewing Democrats at a rate of, like, 3-1 to Republicans, you could assume, okay, so the poll is going to skew probably 2 or 3 points to the left. And you can assume, I mean, obviously you won't have factual data because that's not what they went after in that poll, but you could assume one way or the other. And obviously it's the same on right-leaning polls where they poll only Republicans, or majority Republicans, I should say. You can adjust your opinions accordingly based on the data that's been given to you about who's being polled.
That is absolutely correct. A great point.
So Ken, overall, do you think polls are a net good or a net bad? Because everyone just tends to grab one poll that favors their opinion and just like hits everyone over the head with it. So what do you think on polls? Are they overall good, overall not good?
Yeah, so that particular practice you just described, most people in the civilized debate world call that cherry picking. And that is
True.
essentially picking out one poll that statistically favors you or your ideas rather than taking a bunch that may or may not agree with your opinions and putting them all together and figuring out what it really is at the end of the day. So, honestly, I would say that polls are like a net positive for, Americans, like everybody, really. I don't mean to exclude anybody here, especially us Americans, though. We like our numbers. We
That's
like it
true.
when our guy's winning. I can
That's
tell you
true.
that as an American.
Yes, I do like it when my preferred candidate is winning. That's usually why I vote for them.
But polls can sometimes tell you things that the news or a certain politician wouldn't. If you're good friends, your group of friends, 3 to 5 people, all tell you, yeah, that guy we were all going to go vote for on Sunday or whatever day it happens to be. I don't really care. Yeah, we're going to go switch to this guy instead because he said such and such a thing. The polls would tell you that, but not the politician himself. So
That's
there are
true.
good things and there are some bad things to polls, but ultimately, I think they're much better than they are worse.
I can definitely agree with that. Overall, I think that knowledge is power, for lack of a better cliche, I guess. but giving people an understanding of what's going on around them, whether they want to understand or not, is a different opinion question. But giving them the ability to understand is very important, in my opinion.
Yeah, that goes along really well with critical thinking, which we don't really teach in schools anymore.
That's true.
I'm not even sure that our generation was the last to learn about it. I think we briefly talked about it when I was going through school, and then we just stopped after that.
Yeah. The only teachers who taught me about critical thinking were teaching outside the realms of the New York State education system.
Shh! Don't say that. Don't say that. You'll rile people up.
That's fine. All the good teachers retired, hopefully.
Yeah.
I hope they're all out of there. Oh, my Lord. But, yeah, that's polls, people. You should read them. You should read a lot of them before you really make any opinions. As we try and do here, we try and read at least a couple before we give you guys anything.
This is going to sound a little strange, but I especially like to read the ones where my guys aren't winning, because then it forces me to think, hey, why is my guy not winning? And I think and I see, all the stupid things that he does and say, or she, whatever. And I sit and I say, perhaps there is something to this.
Yeah. Or you look at, why is my guy not winning? And it's because only 3 people who agree with you were sampled against like the 4,000 people who disagree with you.
I smell something fishy with that one.
MSNBC poll shows that 100 Democrats living in LA who are wealthy all agree that Joe Biden is doing a good job.
Wow, I'm glad Seth Rogen and all his buddies find that Joe Biden's doing a great job. But out here in the real world, we're all struggling.
Yeah, so that's why it's important to read who's being polled.
And what? You specifically have to read the questions that they're asking you.
Yes.
They will get you with weasel word questions. They will do that.
It really is just the New York State Regents exams. For those of you who know, you know. If you don't know, you're lucky.
How likely are you to vote for candidate X during this next election? Very likely, somewhat likely, not likely, not very likely. Oh, 82% of people said very likely. Oh, are you sure about that, or are you combining those two likely totals? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, anyway, I hope you all have a great day. God bless, and read some polls.